been a while
Finally.
since you've been live, eh?
Yeah, it's been a little while. We were supposed to come to you guys every Friday, and then that changed. And then,
Yeah,
but we've been uploading content though on a weekly basis, our reaction videos. So, we're always doing something to try to entertain whoever's watching.
yeah. I mean, there should be more of those coming, I'm sure, in the next few months as well. So everybody, keep your eyes on the channel because more of what you know and more of some new stuff. I think probably in the future.
Yeah, and we heard everyone's complaints, so we're working on fixing those things. So we like criticism, so we're not afraid to hear that stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll work
negative
on it
comment
and try
typically
to
making this.
do the best we can, right?
100%. That's all we can do, right? We just want to get better and yeah, and try to grow a little bit. So yeah, any feedback helps for sure.
Yeah, but like Dan was saying, we were supposed to go live on May the 4th for the special Star Wars episode like we did last year. But Dan, explain to the people what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so like you're saying, we were gonna originally do this episode on May 4th, but then Dan blew it. Dan blew it. But
I think it's a miscommunication. That's what it was.
yeah. But excuses are like assholes. Everybody's got them. So I got no
Yeah.
excuse here. But yeah, so we're gonna talk top 5 Star Wars video games since we didn't get you guys your Star Wars episode on May 4th. So we're gonna give it to you now, a little bit late, but better late than never.
Yeah, and this
Um,
is our top five, or are we actually doing
yeah,
like the top five greatest? Okay, okay. So
no, personal preference,
yeah,
and that's why I mentioned to you just before we started. I actually laid down some separate ground rules for myself for this one, because I felt like I've talked a bunch about Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars Knights of the Republic on the Paw Patrol. On yeah, I feel like I've talked about those games a bunch on this show already. So I just laid the ground rules for myself, like basically my top 5 Star Wars games that aren't Battlefront or Knights of the Republic. That's just for myself, at least. I know we
oh
haven't
wow,
heard you talk endlessly about these games, so if they're on your list, that's cool. I just figured everyone's heard me fucking go on about these games on like several different episodes already. So
well I can admit, a lot of those games like Old Republic and a lot of those RPG style ones that came out earlier on the Xbox and PlayStation, I never got into those. I was just not into Star Wars at that time. You
yeah,
already know that. So like those weren't interesting to me. Um, and then when Star Wars did become interesting to me, I never had I had got rid of my original Xbox, so I could never jump back to go
these old
play those
games.
games at the time, right? So
Right.
those are games I'd like to jump into if they were remastered. They might have been. I have no idea. But
Yeah, I think you could get those Knights of the Republic games at least in the last gen Xbox and PlayStation. I don't know about the current gen if they have it. Probably though.
yeah, so those won't be on my list. And but they're great games. I've heard a lot of good things for them from yourself. But
Yeah.
just where I was at the time, Star Wars just it wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't interested in it, so I never jumped into those games.
Right. Right.
But Dan,
Well,
if you want, jump into number 5.
okay. I'll kick us off. And mine is actually the exact opposite of that. Mine is back when we were young and I got my Xbox, I was obsessed with Star Wars. And
Yeah.
I would have been down to try any Star Wars content back then, give anything a shot, even if it got bad reviews. I was gonna pick it up at Blockbuster at least once and give it a try. Um, this game is a game that I've actually wanted to go back and revisit recently. I keep meaning to, but I keep forgetting to be honest. But it's a game that I think gets forgotten. It's not a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a very solid title as well as a release title. I got it in the bundle with my original Xbox when I got it for Christmas,
Yep.
and that is Star Wars Clone Wars. And that game I remember bundled, and when I say bundled, I mean literally in the same case uh, as Xbox's new version of Tetris, which is
Yes.
hilarious that they even brought Tetris to Xbox as a release title. Like,
I
um,
know. They
and
want
you could imagine getting an Xbox as a step up graphically from N64. Like, I had no interest in playing fucking Tetris. I was gonna play Star
Yeah,
Wars. The only game I had that was like the big graphic step up, right? And yeah, I have really fond memories of this game because it's like you get a little bit of everything in this first Star Wars game. It's mostly a vehicle combat game. You're mostly
yes.
going to be, land vehicles, flying vehicles, all kinds of stuff like that. But you also do get a little bit of ground action as Jedi as well in this game, so it gives you a little bit of variety. But I always found for a release title that it's a fairly solid game and a game that I think holds up decent at least. Have you ever played this?
I actually did have that bundle, but I didn't. That wasn't the Xbox bundle I had gotten the game set from another person
Oh
later on.
yeah,
But my bundle came with Sega Racing GT 2002 or something, and
oh, okay,
Jet
yeah,
Set Radio yeah, I think Jet Set Radio. So I had that bundle. But
right, right.
I did dip into those games. I did dip into that when I had it. But I'm not a personal fan like of the Star Wars games when you have I don't like ship fight. I don't like the
Oh, you
flying.
don't like that, eh?
I'm not a fan of that, man. I always get like it just goes too fast for me, especially at my age now, and I don't game as much. Like if I play
Right.
something and it's like a flying or even a racing game, I'm like, holy fuck, man, this is fast. But when you're a kid though,
Yeah.
it seems so slow. But no, I'm not. I've never been a fan of space flight. That's why, like the worst game ever for me on Super Nintendo is Star
Oh,
Fox, right?
Star Fox.
I just don't.
Star Fox, I get that though. It's a polarizing game because like visually, it's like you think you're gonna have a seizure watching that game.
Yeah, but like I'm not a fan of those
I
aircraft
think
like games.
more than the aircraft for this game, I think there's more of an emphasis on like the land vehicle. I think you might, if you revisit it, you might feel a little bit differently because I think it's almost like the appeal to me is almost the opposite. It's like it's not super intense, almost therapeutic. It's almost too easy sometimes, and
Mm,
your missions are kind of like you're in like a tank, and it's like okay, blow up this, blow up that, blow up this, and it's kind of like I always enjoyed it because it's kind of like a turn off your brain game. You're just kind of like
yeah, you're just
drifting through,
going through the
blowing shit.
motions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
I was just
exactly.
wondering because you would know, and I know you would love this. Has there ever been maybe it probably if there has, it's probably been on PC a Star Wars game that's like Civilization, where you get the build up. That would be cool. I don't know if there has been.
I think I want to say that there is something like less like I think less like Civ and more like StarCraft. I think there's something like that come out at some
Yeah,
point.
but I'm on the roles of like a risk civilization kind of you build up your city or
Yeah.
whatever you
Well,
want
that's
and
I
then
mean, StarCraft's kind of like that. I think that's
yeah,
kind of how the Star Wars game was. I think it was like kind of like build your base. I think it was
yeah,
you're building a
yeah.
base,
I'm
and
sure
then
there's
and then
a lot of games like that for sure.
I know there's like mobile games like that I used to play back in the day for Star Wars, but I want to say that there is a PC game similar to that. I'm
Mhm.
gonna have to look into that when we get off the air.
Yeah, because I would think you would jump into that
I
hardcore.
would, but me too. I've always been like, it's funny because a lot of games on PC have always been like the titles you'd think I'd be most attracted to, but I've never really had a PC. I've never been a big computer guy, right?
Yeah,
Never
which
had
I'm
it.
surprised. Like even myself, like when we were younger, you'd think we would have been huge PC gamers, but I
Yeah,
think for us, like a lot of those RPGs online, like even World of Warcraft, we wanted to jump into StarCraft,
yeah,
all those games. When we were growing up, though, we were just out too much to be able to stay
yeah. I
inside.
think so. I don't
I
think I was
think that,
exposed to it much. Like I remember, like my brother played Warcraft and Starcraft a little bit when I was young, but like my brother never built a PC. My dad never took interest in
no,
like computer games. Like I don't know.
I, remember I was telling you about my brother's friend Omar.
Oh
And
yeah,
he was big in the World of Warcraft, and I wanted it so bad. And then when we went to the store, obviously the box back then was only like 39 bucks, but then you had to do the online subscription, and my dad would not do it. So
yeah,
I never got to play it online. He would just not pay. But it was a rage. It was like $40 a month or something
yeah.
crazy. And that was
I
back
remember
then.
when those kind of games first came around, I remember I never even tried to ask my dad. I just knew it was hopeless to try to ask my dad to pay a subscription for something for a video game.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just crazy.
yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Clone Wars, though?
No, there's not too much to say about this game. You know, I like any release title. It's not like a super elaborate game. It's pretty bare bones. But like I said, it's an enjoyable game. You know, whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, like I think if you're just looking to just like pass some time on like one afternoon when you're bored or whatever, and you got nothing going on, if you have that, if you have the joys of not being busy in the middle of your day in the afternoon.
But you know what's weird
It's
about that
perfect.
combo package? I understand they're putting in the Clone Wars, but with the Tetris, why didn't they just make it Star Wars Tetris to kind of give it a new revamp
I
feel?
know, eh?
Like something.
The Tetris thing is just desperation kind of release title. We don't have enough. Let's
Yeah.
make a Tetris game. That's a recognizable title. Yeah,
All
bundle in
right.
it with
Well,
the release. Bundle in it with that release. That Xbox is probably the only way they'd move any of those copies of fucking Tetris,
oh
man.
yeah, I don't think anyone would have bought that off the shelf. Only if you're an older gamer.
That's the thing. I'm not shitting on Tetris or anything. Nothing against any Tetris fans out here, but come on. But you
Yeah,
have
going in. Yeah, when you're jumping into the next generation,
yeah,
and then you want to
exactly.
give Tetris as the game in the box.
And it'd be like your next Nintendo system, the release title being like Donkey Kong. It's like, come on
Yeah,
now.
yeah, I know. But okay, for my number five, like I said, um, I didn't like Star Wars at all. We already talked about that going into our Star Wars episode last year. But then, you guys kind of got me into it slowly, slowly, slowly. And same with this at this time when this game came out, I didn't want to play it at all because I was like, oh, I'm I'm an M for mature gamer. I like mature games, this, that, whatever. But you know, starting going into, that Xbox 360 and outwards, getting co-op games was hard to find.
Mm.
And this was the perfect game. And I'm talking about 2007 Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga.
Oh, great game. Great game.
Great game. Great game. Over, I think, 160 playable characters. You can
Yeah.
even play Indiana Jones, which is very cool as well.
Pretty
He
bad.
he actually fits in the Star Wars universe pretty well if you actually think about it. Um,
Yeah.
there's there's 36 main missions in it for the story mode, 20 bounty hunter missions. I think the plot, it spans from the Trade Federation negotiations to the Phantom Menace, and then attacking the second Death Star. So you
Yeah.
get a you get a
Well, maybe.
complete game here, and like I said, you can play co-op, and you can play it with the person that's not a gamer. I remember I used to play this with my nephew when he was really young, and he was just starting the game, but it's not challenging. It's not so hard, the combat, that he couldn't play it, but the puzzles would give him a good challenge that I would have to
Yeah.
step in and try to help him. But what a fun game this
Absolutely.
was. And like when I first saw the Lego games coming out, I was like, this is for little kids. Like this isn't gonna be fun. But when you start to play, you're like,
Soon as
wow,
you start playing it, yeah.
this is fantastic. And then it makes
Absolutely.
you fall back in love with Lego and collecting the little figures. You can just do so many cool things in this game, man. It's the Lego Star Wars, any Lego Star Wars game is actually very, very good. So the complete
Absolutely.
saga for me comes in at my number five, man. I really enjoyed playing it. It didn't and it felt long, man. It felt long.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many Easter eggs. There's so many cool combinations you can put together. It kind of felt to me like Marvel Alliance with all the cool little things you can do, but just in a Lego world.
Yeah, I'd say even more depth probably than Ultimate Alliance.
Oh yeah.
Very,
Oh yeah.
very deep game. Definitely got your fucking your
Money's
money's
worth.
worth when you bought this. Like and shit. Like for years, you could find these in the bargain bin, and to pick this game up for like $17 or something like that, and
Yeah.
then get all those hours of entertainment. And like you said, it's just such a game that anybody can pick up. It really is like what video games are about, right? Like you can enjoy this as a hardcore gamer or as the most casual gamer possible. Like.
Yeah.
Um,
And the,
and
the
like you
great
said,
thing
like
about that too, because it's Lego style graphics, the graphics hold up till now. Like
Yeah,
you can even put
it
this in your
ages well. Yeah,
you can go back and play this now and it still holds up perfect. And what I love about this, I I I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I think this is before EA took over the Star Wars franchise and video games. I think it was
yeah. Oh, most
THQ and
definitely,
yeah,
most definitely.
THQ and Lucas Art Gaming. So
Yeah,
it was it wasn't like it wasn't pushed down your throat to buy all this stuff. It wasn't,
no,
it was just appreciate the game. We're gonna put a lot of content in it so you don't have to complain there's not enough.
yeah,
And it wasn't like, hey, now again, if this came out now, they would be, oh, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. But back then it wasn't like that. So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate before EA would just throw out games and games every month. Oh, a new Star Wars game. And then it's like, man, why is this so glitchy? Like you shouldn't have
yeah.
games on this like this new gen console when you can walk through walls and shit still. But um no, it's true though, right? EA just puts out games like no tomorrow. But yeah, man, Lego Star Wars comes in at my number 5.
Yeah, it's an excellent pick. Have you played that? Oh, when you say the complete, yeah, you said 2007, so it's the
Yeah.
original complete. Okay, so have you played that more recent big bundle that they put out for Star Wars Lego? It was like I think it's called. I think they call it the Skywalker Saga or something like that.
Oh no, I know what it is, but no, I haven't touched it. No.
I downloaded it one day because it was free and very different. Like there's parts where I was like, you're third person, you're doing third person shooting,
Mm,
which was
yeah.
bizarre for a Lego game. And never experienced that in a Lego game, but I have to give it more of a shot. But those original ones, yeah, just such great memories with those games. And
Yeah, and you can even
honestly,
jump in vehicles. Like you,
yeah,
it and like it's a really they put a lot of thought into it, man. They
and
did a really good job.
as a fan, it was the only game where you can play as many of those characters and, like I said, drive some of those vehicles and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
great fan service for sure.
Oh wait, yeah. What we usually do with our top tens actually go back and give a rating to Clone Wars out of 10 for you,
Oh,
and then
okay.
we'll
Well,
kind of rate our game.
I like to do my I think you've noticed from other times where we've rated stuff on a scale of 1 to 10. I like to do my my top 5 is my personal ratings, but when I do my actual number ratings out of 10, I like to kind of do it subjectively, kind of like if it wasn't me ranking it, if it was just
Yeah,
some like unbiased. So I'm gonna put the Clone Wars as like I'll give it a 4.9.
out of 10.
But yeah, 4.9 out of 10. But in my heart, it'd be at least a 7.5.
Yeah, I would give Lego Star Wars the complete saga with everything you can do in it, the how fun it is, how easy it is to jump into and jump out of. You can play with, co-op. I would give it a strong 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's crazy. I shockingly don't have it on my list, which I'm really reconsidering now. If I was gonna rank it, I'd give it at least an 8, probably.
Yeah, it's up
Yeah,
there. It's a great game.
yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Dan. You're number 4. I wonder if we're gonna have some of the same games. But
I think you might share at least 2 of them, but I think
yeah,
you might have one of this. I don't know how much of a PlayStation gamer were you?
not much. I didn't have a PlayStation.
No, see, I had this game when I had a PlayStation 1 for a very short period of time. My dad got one from the Hawk Shop,
Mm,
and it didn't last too long. It just crapped out, stopped working on us
really?
after probably a year and a half. But I remember this is one of the games I had right from the get go when he got it, when he brought it home from Hawk Shop, and that was Star Wars Dark Forces. Are you
No, I don't
familiar?
know. I don't know that one.
So this game is very much so a child of the Doom style shooter, right? This is an early shooter on PlayStation 1. I think it was on what other systems was it on? I want to say it was on. I want to say it was on the Dreamcast as well,
Mm,
and on PC. Um, it's my favorite shooter by far of that like Doom style engine. It has a way of putting that style of game into these Star Wars settings and making the levels feel vast enough that it gives the game a fair bit of depth for a simplistic shooter.
Yeah.
Um, I do think too, it's significantly better graphically than like games like Doom. So it does though it's the same engine, it does feel like a significant step up just in the way even like your enemies move around. But it's just a great game of just running through the levels, blasting stormtroopers, going through vast like levels of like Imperial ships and
Really?
different worlds and stuff. It's a very enjoyable game to be honest, and it ages pretty well. You can still get your hands on it for they have it on Steam, I think, for PC for like $20. I think you can actually get it on Xbox Marketplace as well.
Oh,
Round of it.
sounds
It
interesting.
Yeah, it's a game that I don't really know. Like, I think to some people they'd play it today and still be pretty impressed. If you look at it in perspective of the time it came out, I actually don't have the year on me that it came out, but it was I think it's considered a fairly like influential shooter for its
Mhm.
time. And you know what I'm thinking? Like when I had it, the only other shooters I was playing at the time was like GoldenEye, and of course
Yeah.
GoldenEye, one of the goats of all time.
Yeah.
But this game really did do a good job of like it stacked up. Like it was not an embarrassing in comparison to GoldenEye when I would play them back to back and stuff. Is a really
Absolutely.
enjoyable game. And actually, it's funny. It's the first game in what they consider um, a series. You wouldn't. I didn't even realize that these games were considered related in the series and plot wise. But you know that Dark Forces is the first game of the like the Jedi Knight series. Like, do you remember like Jedi
Oh,
Outcast,
yeah,
Jedi
yeah.
Academy? So they
Shadow
consider
Academy.
Dark
Yeah.
Forces the first game. So I don't really remember plot wise too much, but I guess some of those characters from some of those games must come
Transferred
into it at
over.
some point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like those are the games, Jedi Academy and stuff. I never got to play because I just wasn't into Star Wars, right? So
Right, right. I think
I
that's
never
the
jumped into any of those.
well. We'll talk about those games a little later on because I got one of those on my list.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I
I think
figured you would.
I think a lot of people missed those games and overlooked those games at the time.
Yeah, because I gotta jump back and at least look at some gameplay of the game you're talking about. Because like we talked about the gameplay of Doom, like throughout that '90s era, how many games copied that style of
Yeah,
of gameplay? Like you had Quake, you had all these games
like
that
yeah,
had that same similar shooting style. So
Turok
like
was right there.
how yeah, Turok, how influential was Doom also
Oh
going
my
into
god, yeah.
like we
Oh my
also
god, super.
never think about that, right?
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
check that out.
No, yeah, definitely check it out. I think when you do look at it, I think it'll be familiar to you because I don't think that you would have like never been exposed to this. I'm sure somebody you knew had this because it was a pretty
Yeah.
popular title for PlayStation One.
I'm gonna look it up for sure after the podcast. I don't know
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, it's a great game. Like if I was gonna rate it, I'd have to give it at least an 8. I'd have to give it at least an
That's how
8.
much you enjoyed it? All right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good game. It's a quality game. It's a quality game, especially for its time.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number four, um, like my first pick was '07. I'm gonna jump to '08. And this is kind of when I was kind of getting into Star Wars, but I don't think at that point I even watched the movies fully or anything like that. I was just kind of enjoying the characters and whatever, whatever. But my brother brought this game home, and then when I saw him playing, I'm like, wow, this game looks really cool. So when I jumped into it, I just fell in love with it. I'm talking about Star Wars: The Force Unleashed,
Ooh,
2008.
great games. Oh
Basically,
man.
it plays a cool fact to when George Lucas was coming up with Luke Skywalker, he was going to call him Star Killer,
Mm,
right? And
right.
so basically, this game you play as Star Killer. He's trained as Darth Vader's apprentice, who is tasked with hunting down Jedi survivors. And again, I don't know the plot fully anymore, but I believe it's between Episode 3 and A New Hope. I could
Yeah,
be wrong,
yeah,
though.
yeah.
But
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
what a fun game this was, man. Like you said, it felt vast enough that it felt like it was a big open world game, just how the
Hmm.
games were back then. It was kind of like that product of that time, of that era on the 360 and stuff.
Yeah.
Just a fun game, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool upgrades. It's cool that you can choose to be on the good side and the bad side. It's just fun when you play those games that give you those different options, right? And
Yeah.
back then too, like you get to play as Vader in a few little parts of it and stuff like that, and you can get cool achievements. Like I know in the first play, when you play as Vader, if you kill your own guys, so you're the stormtroopers, you get an achievement like worst day on the job or something. So there's a lot of cool things you can actually do in it, and just to be able at the end to choose if you want to stay, a Sith or go into onto the good side. It's very cool as a kid, man. I was very blown away with it. I don't know, does that one, if I can't remember, but does that one bring in the black lightsaber,
Ooh,
or is that the second one?
I think that's the second one. I think it's the
Second one.
second.
It might be the second one, but other than that, great game, man. I really enjoyed the Force Unleashed, man.
Yeah, bomb game, man. I remember booting that up for the first time. See, just the action, just the lightsaber action, is just really
Yeah, and then
takes
you
me
can
back.
also use the force and get
Yeah.
better force powers and upgrade your character. And then in the second one, they just went over the roof with all the powers you can get, the different outfits and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, the second one is coming on my list, so I don't want to jump too much
Oh,
into
okay.
it.
Yeah, that one's
But
great.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
I
remember like
enjoyed I enjoyed this series more than the new EA games. And I know
yeah,
obviously the only reason why the EA ones didn't make my list is because I I can't get the fact of paying $80 for a game that's glitchy. I don't like I understand you have a glitch here and there, but like, come on, man.
yeah,
You like obviously don't get me wrong, this game has its glitches, but that's the product of the time. We've gotten past kind of that. And I get it, EA releases games very quickly and stuff like
yeah,
that, but
totally.
it shouldn't be so glitchy. Not to say those newer EA games aren't good. They're fantastic, but
No, they definitely are. Yeah,
just the nostalgic of me not being a huge Star Wars fan and jumping into this and enjoying it and learning about, you know, something different than the main movies. Just a different plot and stuff. It was very intriguing to me.
yeah, and these games had to be made. The Force Unleashed games had to be made so these new games could come along down afterwards. Like the
Yeah,
Force Unleashed was like that first real good like cinematic experience with a Star Wars video game. Like just the epic great action with the good graphics. Like it was the first time you really got that in a Star Wars game, and the new ones might be great, but they'll never be first.
no, like the problem, like buddy, the last couple years, I just hate EA, man. When you buy, no, I'm serious. When you buy a new console and every game is by Ubisoft or EA, and it's like, come on,
Yeah,
man. I don't
bro,
want to play I don't want to play Assassin's Creed 45. Like
you
I don't want to play a something.
Bro, you think you hate EA? I basically bought consoles exclusively, my entire life exclusively to play Madden. They've
Yeah,
destroyed Madden to the point where I don't buy Madden. If I'm
yeah.
not buying Madden, what kind of fucking sickos are buying that shit? Seriously.
I know, I know. Like I don't mind them, but like I remember when I was playing the new Battlefront and I was getting really good into it online. I was actually getting good, but I couldn't keep up with the people because it was just at the point when I got into it, it was unfair that they were buying all the chests
Yeah,
and getting all the upgrades. And then when I got into it, they took it away because
right.
people were complaining about it. But then all these people were already all fucking
I'll have
powered
it
up
already.
and I had to work my way up actually with skill and playing the game. And I was like, yo, this is unfair, man. But I still
Yeah.
did very well in it. The story mode was good in it and everything. I enjoyed the game, but uh the I prefer the other Battlefronts for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%.
All right,
Just
Dan, you're number 4. I
I
think we
number
should
three.
see
Number three.
Battlefront on yours, but you never know.
No, Battlefront is like Knights of the Republic. I'm not going. No Battlefront. No Knights of the Republic on mine.
No?
No, because those would have been one and two, and I've talked about those bunch. Rough.
Yeah, but if they're your favorite, you could put them on, buddy.
Yeah, I just don't want to go into those again. So no, no, no.
Okay, okay, okay.
Everybody knows those are my favorites. So this is my list, not counting those.
Okay, and for Force Awakens, for the time and all that, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh yeah, I'll give it higher than that. I'll give it a 7.5. All
Sweet.
right. So my number three. I'm going back. Oh, I guess I'm not going back necessarily as far as Dark Forces for this one, but I'm going back to the Phantom Menace, the first Star Wars movie of our lifetime.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to the N64, probably the most memorable console of our childhood. And I'm going to go with Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
I
Uh,
thought that was gonna be your number one, honestly. I
oh, is
thought
that
the
right?
pod
Yeah.
I thought Pod Racer was gonna be your number one.
Yeah, it's tough for me not to have a number one, to be honest. And it is not as good as some of these other games that we've talked about already. But oh my God, for a kid growing up with that first Star Wars movie, I thought Phantom Menace was awesome as a kid. I thought the pod racing was one of the coolest aspects of all of Star Wars growing up. And to have a game exclusively for that, with all the characters, I get into any different pod, gave more depth to the pod racing scene so I could, get more action with these characters. Some of them you only see for a split second in the movie. Um, I was just sold a million times over on this game. I actually didn't have it growing up as a kid. It was just one I relentlessly rented, and I
Yeah.
think I eventually bought it in high school or something at the flea market one day. But yeah, an absolute classic and a staple for me. I'll still boot this up from time to time. Um, and it's a fairly easy playable game.
Yeah.
As it progresses, it gets a little bit more difficult, but for the most part, anybody can pick this up and play it. If you get the re-release for for Xbox and stuff, it's even easier. It's probably too easy. So if I was going to say for anybody to play this, I would say play it on your original N64, unless you want a boringly easy experience.
Yeah. Do you remember or recall? Because I don't remember, but I played them obviously, but I'm wondering because I don't know if they did this back in on the N64 days. Could you customize the pods?
Not visually. You could buy upgrades that would change
Okay,
the
that's what I'm up to. You
boost
could
the
buy
stat,
upgrade. Okay, good. Good they added that
but
feature.
nothing visually. Nothing visually. There actually is a fairly obscure sequel to this game. Were you aware of that?
No.
Yeah,
I knew they remastered it.
Yeah, no, an actual sequel. I picked it up a few years back. It was released on, I think, on the PlayStation 2. I don't know if it was released on anything else other than PlayStation 2. And I want to say it was made by like EA Big or something like that. Like it was
Mm.
like one of those I'm pretty sure it was them. It was like the same company that was making those fuck, what were the games they were making at the time? They had the extreme snowboard game and stuff like that, and like the
Oh,
NFL
oh,
Street games and stuff
XXX,
like that.
SS,
Yeah,
was it SSX or something like that?
yeah. I'm pretty sure they're the ones that made the second Pod Racer game.
Oh,
It's a lot
wasn't good.
different. Not, I mean, it's all right. It's kind of cool in its own way, but definitely not as memorable as the first one. But I just thought I'd mention it because I feel like a lot of people don't even know it exists.
Yeah, I didn't know it
I didn't know it
existed. Yeah,
existed. Yeah, I didn't know until just a couple years back. But overall, yeah, I mean, Star Wars, one of my favorites. The fact that I can play as Odie Mandrell in a game.
I know.
Or Ben Quadranero.
You love that, man.
I love it, man. It's just like the movie, man. You're racing through Tatooine. There's one Tatooine level sand troop, or the sand people are shooting at your pod. And, oh, it's just an epic game. Epic game.
That's epic, yo. I know you love that one, man.
Yeah.
All right, my number three. Then you want me to go to number three? Oh no, give it a ranking. Give Pod Racer a ranking.
Oh, okay. My unbiased ranking. I'll give it a. I'll give it a 6.8.
All right, fair. I thought you were gonna go a little higher on that, but
Nah, my personal ranking.
I feel like in the original, obviously, it's a product of his time for the 64. But I feel like if you could do a lot more customization or maybe your own pod and stuff like that and build your own rig, like yeah, that would have been, top of the line, right? But obviously with the product of the time, like that would be insane. Like I wonder who was the developer back then for that game. It must have been Acclaimed or something. What was that? What was that? Was that company they called Acclaimed?
Yeah, it probably was them, eh? So I
Yeah.
have it in right here. I have my N64 games all right here.
It'd be nice if they labeled the N64 games on the back too,
Oh my
so you
god, I
can
know.
see.
I've been wanting to buy those off Etsy for so long. The guys that sell them. Fuck, it just says published by Lucas Arts.
Oh, it's LucasArts Gaming. Okay, okay.
Right, I
Okay.
forgot that they had their own section of gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is pretty cool.
yeah. I don't know what other. I can't remember what other games would be under that banner then, because like I'm looking
Yeah,
at the
well
other big.
remember I was just telling you, Force Unleashed was under that banner and like yeah, I think.
Ryan Lego. So
Yeah.
Battlefront. Oh no, Battlefront's EA. All of them are EA, weren't they?
Maybe not the first one.
Maybe not the originals.
Yeah. The originals might be LucasArts.
LucasArts still. Bring back LucasArts video game studio. God damn.
I know they made the great games, man. But he's
Yeah.
out. They took all that from him, right? When he sold it.
Right. Everything. True.
Everything under the banner. But anyways, going to number 3. You just brought up Battlefront, so I'm going Battlefront from 2004 comes in at number 3. There was a time when, just like you and me, our houses were always the gaming houses for all the kids to come in. Our parents were always the down to earth parents, and people could come in, tear up the house, play games, run around. And that was like ours in the summer. We never went to anyone else's homes. We always came to my house, and we used to just play Halo all the time. Halo and Raw. We used to have
Oh,
4
raw.
players, and we used to do um, split screen or whatever, but we used to do system link for Halo. So we'd have the TV upstairs, downstairs, and we system link in. And then I'm going back to my brother's friend Omar, who was big into Star Wars, brought over Battlefront. And I've never played Battlefront, like I knew it was Star Wars, but I wasn't a big fan. And we're going back to
Yeah.
'04 now. And oh my God, this blew my mind. This game was
So
insane,
good, dude.
especially with System Link, and you have 8 guys going. Oh my God, it was incredible. Halo was one of the best experience I've ever had online, and for a gaming summer, playing Halo with my brother and all our friends, incredible. I would have to put Battlefront right up here with Halo in that respect of how
Oh,
fun it was, man. Incredible. Um, you got the Galactic Republic, the CSI, Rebel Alliance, Galactic Empire. You got infantry, heavy weapon, pilots, snipers, and when you start to do really well in the game, you get to play as Dooku, Windu. What's his name? Windu?
yeah, Mace Windu.
Mace Windu, Skywalker, Vader, and you even get story mode, which gives you Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War. So
Yeah,
it's not just a game that's a co-op game. I mean, a game that you all sit together and play. You also can do story mode. But what I love
right.
about this game, you can go into it and just fight people in like the free for all thing and just enjoy
Yeah,
yourself. You don't need a
exactly.
second person. It's just so enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Just a great part of my summers in the early Xbox days, man. Oh my goodness, that Halo. It's funny that Raw is up there too, but
Raw. Yeah.
that's what we were playing, man. Just such a great time with Battlefront, man. I appreciate that game so much. And I'm gonna give Battlefront the first one a 7 out of 10. And I'm not gonna lie, I also have Battlefront 2 on my list, so that's gonna get a higher rating than that.
Okay,
But
so you're talking Battlefront One, literally Battlefront One, like the
yeah, the
original
original,
one.
the original
Okay.
on original on PS2 and
Yeah.
Xbox. But like
Yeah.
just remember this: to play this game with 8 people system link, 4 people downstairs, 4 people upstairs, the madness that would have been
Yeah.
happening in this game. It's
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
oh my goodness, man! Just such a great job. And like I said, I put that up there with Halo because like
Mhm.
we were both getting amazing experience playing both of them. Oh
Yeah.
man, just so fun, man. Like when we get to our top summer gaming memories episode, like these are gonna be in my list, man. Because man, those are the days I miss, man. Like those are the days when the classic days. Everyone comes over. We all got our pop. We got the chips, and we're screaming from upstairs, downstairs. Oh,
Yeah.
it's just great times,
I know,
man.
I miss those days, man.
That's why I had to put this in there, man. So Battlefront, the original from 2004, comes
Nice.
in at number 3, man.
Yeah, I got some plans this summer now with now that we're living up by the beach here. I have my brother come up and stay for
Into that for sure.
yeah.
All right, Dan, give us your number 2, I
Ooh.
think.
All right, my number two. I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the show. Game I did not own. I used to rent this fairly regularly from Blockbuster. Didn't play it when it originally came out, but a few years later got into it. And I'm going with the final game in the Jedi Knight series, and I'm going with Jedi Academy.
Yes, the one I've never played and one I want to get into, what would have liked to get into, but just at the time, like I was just so far ahead in the generation of consoles to go back. I would have to get back the older systems and the game. It was just out of my
Yeah.
reach. But tell me a little bit about this because I'm excited. I've seen a lot of cutscenes. I've seen gameplay of it. It seems like a really good game.
Oh, awesome game. When it comes to Star Wars RPGs, at the time, there's two ways to go, and Knights of the Republic, you're gonna get the best possible story and characters that they can provide you in a Star Wars game. This game was the opposite. It was the best Star Wars RPG experience you could get. Gameplay and playing as the Jedi, using the weapons, using the Force powers. Um, Not only could you go third person as a Jedi, you could go first person with a blaster in this game too. It's the first game I played with like the customizable Force powers, where you could choose and upgrade your Force powers. Going through levels and you're on like Coruscant, it's all platforms, and you're force choking the stormtroopers, and when you're picking them up with the choke, swinging them off the platform and drop them off the ledge, and doing the same shit the Force lightning. It was just fucking fantastic. And then being able to you're choking the stormtrooper, you're having him lifted up with the choke, and then you switch to the lightning while he's already in the air,
Yeah,
blast him off. Like, it was just such a cool gameplay experience. Comboing the Force powers, just unreal lightsaber action too. Like, it was the first experience I really had. We were out just hacking people up with lightsabers, just slashing up stormtroopers, getting wild stormtrooper fights. And then the ability to flip into first person with a blaster too gives the
yeah,
game a completely different dynamic. So, there's levels where, if you've played it before, the parts, you're like, okay, I'm going to try this again, this time with a blaster and see,
yeah.
if I
Make
can
it.
do it with the
It feels
blaster in
different
first
for
person.
sure.
Yeah, it's just a very, very cool Star Wars experience. I really like Jedi Outcast, the game before this, but that Academy brought it to another level of customization too, where Outcast, you're fixed with playing as the protagonist character. Jedi Academy, it's like you're this new character showing up to the Academy, and you can customize it. You could be It's the first time you could play as like an alien Jedi, and
Yeah.
then
See.
customize your lightsaber and stuff like that. It was just a first experience with a lot of these like customizable features that you take for granted in modern Star Wars games.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though. I'm trying to see how I can word this. Um, for these Star Wars games we mentioned and stuff like that, like say you're bringing up Jedi Academy and all this stuff that we know that are fantastic games. Even I've never played it, and I've heard and seen reviews of it that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But just being in that realm of Star Wars and how I was when I was younger, going, "Oh, I don't fuck with that shit." Do you think that hurts those games? Even some of the games like I mentioned too, that other gamers or other people that aren't in that world of galactic fantasy doesn't jump in and actually try those games out.
Yeah, it's definitely possible because I mean, at the same time, some of these games without the blanket of Star Wars are just nothing. I mean, like, so a couple of games I said, Pod Racer, Clone Wars. If they're not Star Wars themed, they're just the most forgettable games, right? But on the other hand, you have a game like like a Battlefront. You know, if someone was staying away from that because of Star Wars, they would have been missing out on a great game that they probably would have enjoyed.
That's
Right? You could probably put any theme on Battlefront, and it would be an excellent game. Like that could literally, you could just take Battlefront's gameplay, everything about it, and just change the characters to like I don't know, like even just military, and
yeah.
and it would be a super fucking fun game still.
Because like what I'm trying to get at, say, is someone who only plays Call of Duty and goes, "Oh, this is the best shooter of all time," whatever, whatever, and they like
Yeah,
that realm of shooter, and they go, "Well, why would I play Battlefront 2? That has to do with that galactic bullshit.
yeah.
I don't want to deal with that. All that crap is
Well,
garbage."
they're missing out
But
on the
then,
best arcadey third-person shooter
yeah,
ever.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like sometimes, not does it hurt the game or the franchise because we know it draws in the fans of that
yeah,
who are into that, but the fans that aren't into that, they kind of stay away and miss something like,
yeah,
say, Jedi Empire, like uh, Academy. What was other RPGs out at the time that weren't Star Wars, right? Like those people
yeah.
might have missed out on something
No, it's
fantastic.
true. If you were somebody that was like, you were playing like Jade Empire,
Yeah,
and you love Jade Empire, but you didn't play Knights of the Republic because of Star Wars, you really missed out then.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because even I played
Yeah.
Jade Empire, and like obviously back in the day, for a product of its time, it was a fairly decent RPG.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
the Star Wars, from what I've seen, like the Academy and stuff like that, is more vast, more detailed, more in
Yeah.
depth. You can do a lot more things. Like
Yeah, I
it's
do
just one of
think
those
that
things, right?
the Star Wars title is what I think too keeps it alive over the years. A game like
Yeah,
Jade Empire, I would say is almost as good, but it's just because it was just they made the Jade Empire game and that was it. It's not, it doesn't sit in people's brains the same. You know what I mean? It's not as, and people just think about, oh, what Star Wars games did I play as a kid? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I don't know. Yeah.
Like the Star Wars RPG games you're talking about, because I've never played them personally. Where do you put them against like the Mass Effect series? Like, is there
Well, that's funny because you
similarity?
say that because I think I mentioned on this. They're the same. They're the same, right? They're one of the same. Like when
Yeah.
they made Mass Effect 1, it was supposed to be the third Star Wars game. Um, I mean, I would say that I'd rate the first Knights of the Republic game on the same level almost as the first Mass Effect game.
But what would you rather play if they both came
Oh,
out?
Mass Effect.
Your favorite? Yeah, your favorite. Okay,
Mass
Mass
Effect's
Effect.
my goat though, so it's
Yeah,
hard for me
I
to.
know that. But I'm just saying if they were kind of like if there
Yeah,
was the same development with the times with
yeah,
Mass Effect and Star Wars coming together.
yeah. It's tough. It is the big thing that makes it tough to compare it to is that the Star Wars still is that turn based
Yeah,
RPG style combat, right? Mass Effect, you get the shooter aspect. That's saying they didn't really have the shooting engine down in the first Mass Effect. So, you could probably make an argument for Knights of the Republic 1 being better than Mass Effect 1, maybe. I don't know
yeah.
if I'd make that argument necessarily, but you can definitely make the argument.
I was just wondering because I know you like both of the franchises, right?
Yeah. No, and if you like one, I would think you would like the other. Maybe, I mean, if you like Mass Effect and you're not a Star Wars fan, you might not like Knights of the Republic, but how many people like Mass Effect and aren't interested in Star Wars? It's just, it's all
Yeah, that's it.
sci-fi. It's all,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So, what are you gonna give a ranking?
Oh shit, a ranking.
That has
What
to
did
be
I give?
high up there.
Yeah, I gave Dark Forces 8.5. I feel like it's got to be something similar. I'll give it an 8.2.
You're gonna give it okay, okay. Nope, that's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
All right, so my number two, like I said, um, it was gonna make my list. I'm going to 2010 now, and I'm going to the sequel, Force Unleashed 2. Um, I couldn't get enough of the first one, and like I was
yeah.
saying when I was talking about that, this one just put everything the first one had over the top. And
Absolutely.
just the character customization, the outfits you can do, the lightsaber colors. This game takes place 6 months after the first game, 1 year before New Hope, I believe. And basically, Starkiller embarks on his own journey to find his identity and reunite with the girl that he fell in love with in the first game. Meanwhile, Vader is attempting to clone his former apprentice in order to create the ultimate Sith warrior. So It again, just a fantastic game. I felt the controls at the time were really great. Easy gameplay. The combos were fun to do, and then you can add in all your force powers and stuff like that. Just a really, really good game for the timing. Just enjoyable for me, man. And I'm gonna give that one again. I'll give that one a 7.5.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I'd give it similar along those lines too. Yeah, great game, just like the first one. And I remember what I think it was the Emperor costume I put on. You could basically play the
Yeah.
game just as the Emperor.
Yeah. No, it's just cool because you go around and especially for me that I didn't know a lot of these characters and I would see like the guys in the red fucking druid kind
Oh,
of outfits
yeah,
and
the
stuff like
Imperial
that.
Guards.
And I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's fucking awesome!" And I would try to get the outfit, and then I'd wear it. I'd be like, "Yo, I look sick!" You know? But yeah, man, it just makes it enjoyable when like again, sometimes we just talked about jumping into a game. Obviously, we know the title Star Wars, but you don't need to know everything. You can just enjoy it. And that's what I
Yeah,
felt like. It wasn't like I didn't know what was happening. The story kind of helped me through it easy and guided me to kind of understanding who these character was and whatever. So I really enjoyed this game, man. So Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2 is my second favorite Star Wars game.
I like that pick. I
I
can't go
wonder,
wrong.
are we gonna show love to the Super Nintendo? Like,
I was about to give a shout out. I was about to give an honorable mention before I do number one. So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
definitely big honorable mention to the Super Nintendo games. Some of the most beautiful and most frustrating games on the Super Nintendo.
That's why I never put it. I have all of them. I played all of them. I've never beat all of them. So like,
No.
I couldn't sit here and lie and put it in my
Yeah.
my list. But again, fantastic games for the time. Graphic wise, they look good. Character wise, they look good. Music wise was good. It was just difficult for me, man.
Yeah, if I was saying exclusively playing on ROMs, I could maybe put some of those that series on this list. But without having pause, save states, and rewinds,
Yeah,
I can't play these games like I want to. I have Empire Strikes Back for my Super Nintendo. It's a beautiful game, but I only get to enjoy the beauty of the first two levels.
yeah, yeah. They're difficult, man.
It's pull your hair out difficult. But yeah, beautiful games that graphically age well. Roof. And another game that isn't rough at all, I also wanted to mention that didn't make my list was another PlayStation 2 title. I don't know if you played this one, and it's came out with them when there was a influx of a lot of Star Wars games. I feel like in that Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith era. PlayStation 2's Star Wars Bounty Hunter. You ever play that?
I've not played it, but I've seen the cover and stuff on it.
Yeah, a
What's
good
that game
game.
like?
A good game, honestly. A game that you see it, you figure, oh, it doesn't have much of a legacy, and it's themed around Jango Fett and stuff. You'd think if it was decent, people would talk about it a little bit more. You'd see more about it. But I always assumed it was garbage, right? I picked it
Yeah,
up one day for cheap, played it. This is a fucking solid game. It's a solid RPG action
yeah.
uh, Star Wars game. Like, yeah. And if you like Jango Fett, Boba Fett, like you'll
I
enjoy
love
it.
those
So,
guys. I love
yeah,
those guys.
yeah. So I had to give a shout out to that. I feel like there's something else I'm missing, but I can't remember.
I want to give a shout out to the one on N64,
That was
Shadows of
about
the Empire.
yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what it is? Shadows of the Empire.
yeah.
I remember
That's what I think.
I only like I used to watch my brother play it and seeing him go around with the pod and
Put
trapping
the rope
the
around the AT-AT.
AT
Well,
and then how it goes.
I might as
And
well
I
jump
would
right into it. Then that's my number one.
yeah, and then but it was also kind of cool though going more into the game when you're playing as the third person.
Yeah,
It was different, and I don't think was there lightsaber or was it just blaster?
just Blaster for the
Yeah.
main character. So that's my number one game is Shadows of the
Hey,
Empire.
hey, you still have to do your number two. Did you do your number two?
Yeah, it's Jedi Academy.
Oh shit, we're already
Yeah,
that far ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, go to number one then. Oh shit! I'm sorry, I stole your number one. I didn't think that was your.
Yeah. Shadows of the Empire. That's my number one. That was the first exposure I ever had to Star Wars video game. Is that Hoth level? As a kid, I was so young when I started playing it, I couldn't even beat that level. But I would just
Oh
play it
yeah,
over and over. I didn't care if I could beat it or not. And yeah, as the game progresses, there's just excellent levels in that game. You know, you play as that main character is really cool. Character for Star Wars video game. Dash Rendar. He's basically just more badass Han Solo. He's just like Han Solo on steroids, basically with bigger
yeah.
guns. And
So what happened to him? Like, does he ever make an appearance anywhere else,
oh
or is
frig, I think he's been referenced in a couple things, or at least his ship has been referenced in a couple things. But there's been a few like just random like yeah fan service shout out kind of things, but he's never really been used in anything.
yeah? Because I
Right.
like sometimes they have those different storylines. Well, they always had different little plots and stuff when George Lucas owned it, but now all that's
Now with
gone.
Disney, yeah. Well, with Disney, they do a little bit of their own side stuff, but then they'll like pick and choose what kind of shit from Star Wars past they use and what they don't use.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but it's a very good game. You know, you go through these levels. You know, you fight a lot of characters you recognize. Fight a lot of bounty hunters. You know, fight Boba Fett. IG-88 is a one I really remember fighting. IG-88 in the junkyard, and his
Mhm.
level very memorable. Is what you probably even remember it yourself. Is the one where you're on the train in the
Yeah,
in the junkyard level. Oh my god, jumping from the train one train to the other before the one goes into the acid. Oh, that was a great game, great 3D platforming
yeah. I was
action
just
in
gonna
that game.
say like and it's cool that it was third person. You would think that it would
Yeah,
have been first person,
first,
but it
yeah.
was nice to have that third person feel in it, man.
It gives you more of that platforming feel too than
Yeah,
a shooter necessarily. And then, oh man, so many levels. You know, like the second Hoth level, and you have the friggin' the Wampa, the snow monsters, and they
yes,
can let
yes.
them both out of the tent
Yo,
at the
they
same
took
time they fight each other.
yeah, they took a lot of shots to kill
Oh,
though.
fuck yeah, they did. Fuck yeah, they did. I still hear those things in my dreams. Ooh,
Uh,
swinging their arms. But
what are you gonna rank Shadow of the Empire?
you know, like if I'm ranking it, you know, I can't give it as high as like Dark Forces and Academy, but I'll give it a good 7.4. I'll give it.
All right, that's a good ranking for it
But
though.
nostalgia wise, I like this game as much as anything. I got it right beside me now. Look, it's not even like Lucas Arts or anything. It says just like it says Nintendo on it, so I don't know what's
Yeah,
that
but
like.
see, just the cover of it with the stormtrooper looks fucking badass, man.
Oh, great, great. I'm totally gonna play this when I get home from work tonight now.
All right, let me jump to my number one quick. We already talked about it briefly. I'm going to 2005, and I'm talking about Battlefront 2. One of them.
Absolutely.
This is probably the Star Wars game I played the most of, and that's Summer of Gaming. Like I just said, it was the first Battlefront, and then when this came out, it was also this Halo. I'm not even sure if Halo 2 was out at this time. It could have been. I would
Yeah.
have to look back, but again, Halo 2 or Halo 1, whichever one it was, and this with System Link, 8 people upstairs, downstairs, streaming, fighting. And then when we didn't do System Link, you're screen peeking, you're looking at my screen. How do you know where I am? Um, just a great game. And like we were talking about with these games, the story mode is fun. The Rise of the Empire, you get to you play as a veteran of the 501 First Legion, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah,
You
it
have
is. Yeah.
you have 18 missions, so it's quite a long journey, but everything you wanted when number one came out, and you wanted it to prove they did it in
Mhm.
Battlefront 2, and they delivered. And I don't care what you say, Halo 1, Halo 2, this is up there with it for
Yeah.
online play. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
give this game I'm gonna give it a strong 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, absolutely. This game is fucking awesome. Anybody that grew up playing this game has fond memories of it, whether they're a Star Wars fan or not. And like I was saying, I look forward to playing this with my brother. I know when me and my brother boot this up, that we'll definitely play some Galactic Conquest. You remember that game mode?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect game mode to just pick something up and play it. You know, back like over the course of a couple days.
Yeah.
It's basically pick a side, whether whether it's Empire versus Republic or droids versus clones, And then it's just one side trying to take over all the planets in the universe, and the other side trying to take over all the planets. It's fucking
That's what I
awesome.
love about this. Even if you wanted to do the capture the flag or whatever the other,
Yeah,
you could just do that as a single player and just pick the team, pick your character, and you could just go through it, man.
yeah.
It's just so much variety. It's obviously it's so different from the Lego games, but the variety of differences it gives you for gameplay, and you could just sit there for hours and enjoy it.
There's game modes in that game that people that have played that game for years don't even know they're there. Like if you play specific levels, uh, Moss Eisley and Hoth, they have game modes for those levels called Hunt. If
Mm.
you play Hunt on Moss Eisley, I don't know if you remember, but it's Jawas versus Sand People.
Yes, yes. But see,
Yeah, you
that's
remember that?
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just incredible, incredible games, man. Star Wars has come down the pipe with some fun games, fun strategy board games. They've been around for such a long time, man. So
Absolutely.
it was good to
Oh
come in.
man.
Oh,
It's another
we got.
game mode I forgot about. Moss Eisley again. If you go to Moss Eisley, I think it's Assault, and it's just all the heroes, and you just play a fucking
Oh yeah,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, so there's no stormtroopers, no, just all lightsabers and
All
like
the lightsabers,
yeah.
yeah. But
Oh,
see,
so good.
this is why you should have put it on your list.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's still more to talk about. It was such a
I
great
know,
game. It would have been
such
my
a
number
great
one.
game.
It would have been my number
Oh
one.
well, let's give a quick breakdown. Give a quick breakdown or recap of your top
All
five,
right.
buddy.
My top five. My number five was Clone Wars for the original Xbox. My number four was Star Wars Dark Forces. My number three was Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. My number two was Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. And my number one was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
All right, mine number five, coming from 2007, the Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. Number four, coming in from 2008, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Number three, coming in from 2004, Battlefront. And I'm not talking about the new one. I'm talking about the old classic one, man.
Hell yeah.
Coming in at number two from 2010, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed 2. And coming in at number one from 2005, Battlefront 2, the best Star Wars game I've ever played, man. I enjoy the shit out of
Fuck
that
yeah.
game. And that, like we
Yeah.
said, me and you could probably get together and play about 8, 9 hours of that and not get bored.
Yeah. If we ever figure out how to screen record games, we should just do that. Here's 8 hours of gameplay. Yeah, he can come too, I guess. If I have a
I'll
third
bring.
controller.
He won't make much noise.
Yeah. The splitting the screen 3 ways is a little shitty, but
Yeah. Hey, for anyone who watches this, don't act like this is my toy. All right.
well, now we all think it's your toy.
I
No
know.
one thought it was until now.
Remember when we used to go buy wrestling toys when we were like in our early
Oh
20s, and
yeah,
I'd be
you're
like,
like, I'm buying this for my nephew. The
I'd
fact
be
that
like,
you
"Oh,
have
yeah,
to say that is you're exposing yourself.
yeah, I'm just buying it for my nephew. Don't worry about it." All right, so next week we should be back. Dan, what are we thinking of doing next week live?
Well, I don't know. I haven't been thinking about much, to be honest.
I'm thinking we talk about. Let's go. Our top. We talk about our gaming summers. We'll do that episode, and then we should be recording a bunch of stuff this Saturday. So those will be getting uploaded slowly throughout, the following weeks and stuff like that.
Periodic uploads
Like we
coming.
said, we heard the fans put in their input of what they want to see for those music reaction videos. So we're gonna, change up the
Everybody wants
format.
to have Dan horizontal, so you can have
Yeah,
Dan horizontal.
everyone wants to see Dan.
Because when my feet, what is it? Was that a Scott Steiner promo? When my freaks are horizontal, when I have my freaks horizontal.
But anyways, guys, we're coming back with you guys with some great content. We're gonna try some cool things. We're gonna start uploading Dan's toy box. So there's gonna be some cool little things we're gonna be doing. So Dan, send the people home. And may the fourth be with you, I
May
guess.
yeah. Till next time, guys. May the 8th be with you. Or 9th. It's the 9th, isn't it? It's like the 8th. It's the 9th.
All right, guys. Next year we'll get it right. Next year we'll have the
Yeah.
episode on the 4th. No problem.
Nah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not. All right, later, guys.
See you.